right now. Welcome to the Speak and Grow Rich workshop. My name is Desiree Luthi, and I have been mentored by Chanti Niven herself for over 10 years now. And this woman has transformed my life in the communications arena. With that, she had it on her heart to really get people going to the next level in their professional speaking career. And even if they weren't a professional speaker, we all have the ability to speak and we all have the ability to impact and leave a legacy. So no matter what industry you are in, no matter what you're doing currently in business, you have skills that the world needs to acquire. And for those of you that are already coaches out there speaking and doing it, fantastic. You guys are going to learn additional skills today to get your brand to the next level. We are so excited to have you all here this morning. I am going to ask for a couple of housekeeping guidelines from you guys, and that's going to be to stay muted until Chanti asks for you guys to shout out answers. But of course, go ahead and put it into the chat box. Get interactive, ask questions, get some notes going. You guys can feel free to take photos of the slides today if you'd like. You can feel free to ask any questions or comments into the chat bar, but also use those emoticons, those reactions at the bottom of your Zoom screen. I want to see some. If you like something, show us what you got with it. Show us a little party sign if you got one, a thumbs up. If you do have a question, you can raise your hand, but I would like to ask you to put those questions in the chat box instead. So for those of you that are just joining us right now, welcome to the Speak and Get Rich workshop. If you guys can go ahead and just in the chat box, say your name, where you are coming from, where are you streaming from today? And we are about to get started. So let me introduce the lady of the moment, the one who's going to be handling our workshop today. Her name is Chanti Niven. You guys know her already. She is the founder of the Captivating Speakers program. She has created and worked with thousands of people in the communications arena. She has been on stages with top speakers, including Les Brown, Tony Robbins, Shark Tank speakers. She is a powerhouse when it comes to communication. And she hates when I boast about her like this, but I'm going to tell you guys, since you're still coming in, I'm going to keep boasting about her until she's ready to start. So this woman has also been on a mission right now to enhance branding. And the reason we're doing this virtually is because video is where we are headed. We are currently there. Video is a new way of communicating virtually with your audience. And so your communication and presenting yourself online in social media is going to be a way to attract new clients or a new audience for you in leaving an impact as a speaker. It is my honor to introduce Chanti Niven. Chanti, are you ready to go and take it away?
I am ready to rumble.
Let's see some party signs going on your emoticons there.
Okay, good morning and good evening to some. I'm going to be recording all of this, so if everybody is okay with that, we just need you to say A or yay or yes, or because we're going to be recording this. One of the reasons we're able to offer this free of charge is that I like to present to an audience. I don't like talking to myself into a camera, to be honest. So we're going to record this and use snippets for our promotional material. And if you're all okay with that, let us know. Otherwise, leave. Okay. Welcome to you all. I'm going to make a little confession before we start, and that is that whereas my gift, if you will, is as a teacher, and I really come to life on a stage. Desiree has watched me on over so many years speaking on stage. And the reason for that is that I can connect with people. There's something about me that just connects with people heart to heart. I forget about what I look like. I forget about all my insecurities. And I just connect with the people that are in front of me. It's like I just pour my energy and love into those people. But when I started going on camera, I don't know if it's a vanity thing. We women are primed to always want to look our best, right? I suddenly see my face on camera, and then I'm suddenly seeing all my flaws on camera, and it began to be a big distraction for me, and I really became self-conscious. And as Desiree said, Chanti, you're not yourself on camera. So I've really been working hard to overcome that problem. How many of you are camera shy, honestly? Okay. So I'm not alone in this, right? No, he's not. Carl is definitely not shy on camera. Some people love the camera, and people have said to me, well, you seem to love the camera. No, I do not. I hate it. As I say, one-on-one or one to a group is really my style. So this is me overcoming my own fears. Now, I want to know by a show of hands here, or you can comment in the chat box, how many of you still have a lingering fear of speaking in public. And public, by the way, is just more than one person, right? How many of you, honestly? Okay. Now, I will say this, and people get shocked when I say this, and that is that if you're overconfident, you're never going to perform at the level that you want to perform. If you do not have any fear at all, if you're just so super confident, say, let me at them, I'm going to get onto that stage, then there's that nervous energy that you kind of need to perform at your best on stage. So a little bit of fear is not bad. Overconfidence can actually be a bad thing, but we want to harness the fear. I love the expression. If you have butterflies in your tummy, the skill is to get them flying in formation, right? So use that fear. Do you think that I came on today feeling completely fearless and confident? Truth is, I didn't. I didn't know how many were going to show up. I had so many texts from people saying I can't make it. And I'm going, oh my gosh, what if I'm all on my own on camera? Right? So, okay, with that, let me just tell you first of all that there's going to be a lot of content. Are you ready for a lot of content? If you lose concentration, get up, wiggle your ass, do something, and just get yourself energized again, because I want to give you a 2-hour packed workshop full of information that you can use today, tomorrow, the next day. And the secret of this really is using it. You can learn skills, but if you don't use what I teach you today, you're going to lose. The title of this workshop is not Speak and Grow Rich, it's Speak and Get Rich. And the reason why it is that is I thought I was being so smart and then realized somebody else has the Speak and Grow Rich brand. Somebody was smart enough to actually take that. So, and why do I say get rich? Speaking is a powerful skill to earn you money. And today we're going to focus on the money side. All right. Speaking can help you connect with people. Speaking can help you enhance your relationships. Speaking can do so many things, promote your business. Anything that you want to be able to do in the world today is going to rely on your communication skills. But today I'm going to focus on monetizing your speaking. Now I can see already there's a couple of coaches on here, people who are in the business of speaking already, but we can all do with a little more help, right? Myself included. So we're going to begin. I'm not a great fan of slideshows because I prefer to look at all of you, but I'm going to use this because, as I say, there's a lot of content. Promise you I'm not going to read off the slides. I'm just going to use them, and we're going to send these slides to all of you so that you can reference them afterwards. If it helps you to take notes, take notes. All right, I'm going to be asking you questions to keep you sharp and on your feet as we move through, but I want you the entire way through to play a movie in your mind, because that is the most effective way to remember what it is that I teach you today. So in other words, visualize what I'm teaching you. So here we go. Okay, so first of all, a little bit about me. I was once a child. I actually was once a child. And although this seems a very long time ago and it's years that I don't remember, you will see here a lot of pictures of me as a little girl. Now, on the top right, you'll see me with my mouth open, looking very much, a lot of people say, wow, that's the Chanti I recognize, the cheeky face over here. But you'll see pictures here of myself and my brother. While we were growing up in our early youth, we used to call ourselves the throwaway kids. Now, the reason we called ourselves the throwaway kids is that we felt very much discarded. My mother had gone through a divorce, married somebody new, and they had 2 kids together. And it seemed to us, at least, that we were no longer wanted. And there was a lot of evidence for that fact. But don't feel sorry for me. I didn't have a terrible childhood. There was quite a bit of abusiveness from the adoptive father. But my brother and I escaped into a world of our own making. We lived in South Africa. I was born in England, but we lived in South Africa, and we had literally a non-stop adventure, climbing trees and rocks and forging rivers and crab hunting and doing all those wonderful things that you do as kids outdoors. And I believe that's where I developed my imagination. My little brother was my co-conspirator, my best friend. He was a little younger than me. He's the little blonde towhead over here. And I was kind of like a mother to him as well, because when your kids are sort of discarded or ignored or pushed to one side, the older one always seems to take on the role of kind of mothering. And in Africa, anyone who comes from Africa will support me on this, is that very often siblings actually raise their siblings. They raise their siblings. So I kind of raised my brother as well. And this was why the most devastating event of my lifetime was when my brother ultimately took his life. And I believe that the reason his life was so hard and ultimately he decided to check out was because of what happened in our youth and the pervasive feeling of feeling not good enough. That those roots of abandonment and rejection go very, very deep. Now, when I went to school, I was definitely not a star scholar. I joke that I was a straight D student, but maybe it wasn't straight Ds, but my report cards were always something I dreaded. And invariably there'd be this comment that Chanti is a daydreamer. And that was me. My problem in school was that I found it very hard to focus. To me, the teacher seemed to be going, it was just this long noise, very, very boring. I battled to focus. If there'd been a vote for least likely to succeed, it would be me. There was really nothing remarkable, as I say, while I was growing up that would lead anybody to believe that I would succeed. The only thing that I had was a mouth, but a very undisciplined mouth. How many of you can relate to that? I could speak, blah, 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 I could vomit words, but I had a very undisciplined mouth. Later on in life, I learned that the key and the secret to success lay in that mouth, but I had to learn to discipline my tongue. I had to learn the skills that I needed in order to get ahead. Who knows that we can't just think stuff and let it flow out of our mouths? Any of you can relate to that? Now, I always say that your life will be a warning or it could be a lesson. And I have taken all of this experience of my youth and I've shared my story with so many people about coming close to death, losing my eyesight for a number of years, going through a lot of struggles. And at one point feeling like, what is it with me? I seem to just attract all the stuff. There's just so much that I've gone through in my life. And then I began to realize these were all opportunities for growth. Everything that happened was there for a reason. And we'll get a little bit more into that because I want you to know how you can take the mistakes that you've made, the burn that you've experienced in your life, the hurt and the pain, and can transform that into something that is helpful to others, because that's what this is about today. So when I say least likely to succeed, and I proved them wrong. My dad always used to give me money to shut up, and now I get money to speak. Here we go. Who's this? Warren Buffett, the $1 billion secret. And I like to use this quote, and I have had it on my website for the last 10 years. He actually told a class of students, one of the top students, business students at Columbia University, that he would pay $100,000 for 10% of their future earnings. And that really was to show his faith in their abilities as business people. But he said, I would raise my bid by 50% if you were great communicators. That's got to tell you just how important the skill is. And it's something that you should be working on all the time. So I always say that this is the secret behind the secret that every truly successful person knows, but few speak about. Because if you do not have the ability to express what it is that you do and who you are, you're not ever going to be able to move forward in life. There's so many scenarios that I can give you to prove that. So now I want you to imagine, some of you may get turned on by this slide and some of you may say, that's not me. I don't want to be on a stage. I've heard people saying that. I don't want to be on that stage. I don't want to be speaking to 7,000 people. I have spoken to thousands of people on a stage like that. I have not done a TED talk. I've been offered to do one many, many times and decided not to do it. And I'll tell you why when we get to branding. When you decide to do a TED talk, just remember one thing, you are very much in danger of being typecast. Whatever it is that you speak about, you'll be known for the rest of your life. It's very difficult to break that mold. And while I am a teacher and my heart is that to teach and help people to become better communicators, I have not yet decided what it is that I want to leave this world, what kind of legacy it is that I want to actually leave this world. And I'm trying to teach you how to do that. Okay, so do you want to speak in front of big audiences? Do you want to do a TED talk? Do you want to be a social media influencer? What is it that you're dreaming about? Maybe none of these things, but I'm still going to teach you how this skill can make you money. Why public speaking? I would make every child learn this skill from as early as they possibly can. Go onto YouTube, check out our Captivating Kids program and watch what we do with kids, how it transforms their confidence. And it just does so many wonderful things for kids. But it is, to me, the number one skill that you could develop just for confidence in kids. And some kids are so terrified and so afraid that if you force them to stand up and speak, it can produce a lifelong fear. In fact, a lot of the kids that I've dealt with have had social anxiety from a time when they were young. But this is why you need to teach in the way that we teach. That's not what we're about today. But why public speaking? Well, when you get on a stage, you're automatically an authority. You're automatically an authority. You stand on that stage and you are seen as the leader immediately, unless you screw it up. And if I slip up with a bit of language here and there, please forgive me. But I'm not trying to insult or offend anybody, but you could stand up on that stage, you're automatically an authority until you open your mouth and you screw up, right? And then there's still an answer, because if you screw up, fess up, laugh about it, and move on. Provides credibility. If you tell a personal struggle story, there's relatability. Don't get up there and tell everybody you're the expert of this and you're a PhD of that and you're so superior and above everybody else. They might look up to you, but what you really want to do is to show them that you're one of them, that you've had a struggle that they can relate to. And if you've been through a struggle and they go, wow, that person really gets me, they will then be listening. Their ears will be open to what it is that you have to say. There's that word again, brand recognition and awareness. Now, when I say brand, a lot of you see Nike, Coca-Cola, all those big name brands. But every one of you is a brand. And when I explain to you what a brand is, because I have a little bit of a different interpretation of a brand. I always say your brand is your burn that leaves an impression upon others. So what is it? What impression are you leaving? So let's look at Desiree, for example. She is a brand. If you watch Desiree out emceeing and speaking, she's the ultimate Energizer Bunny. So the moment I say Desiree Luthi, you see Energizer Bunny, amped up energy, whoa, 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 whoa. And that's what she is, right? That's the brand. That's the impression she's leaving. Okay, the other thing is if you're in business and you are speaking to a person about your product or service or about what it is that you do, we have a teacher here, Jan, who's been a friend of mine for 20 years. If you have a passion, she's been a teacher, a school teacher, but then she got into a lot of self-help and self-development and has a massive amount of wisdom. You can share that one-on-one, or you can share that one to many, and you're going to have that multiplication of exposure. There's a caveat. And this is the sad part. This is the sad news, because now I know some people are going to go, oh, that rules me out. Nobody will pay to hear you speak if you suck at it. Plain and simple. If you suck, no one's going to pay to hear you speak. And don't feel like you're in bad company. There is a story about a famous physicist who was slated to speak at a huge event, and people came from around the world to hear this man talk. I mean, there were thousands. People couldn't even get into the auditorium. There was so much excitement about hearing him talk. And people filed in, packed. They were listening with great suspense. He opened his mouth, mumbled a little bit behind his big moustache. And it was so bad that after a while, people began to get confused. And then some people actually, we could very clearly see people tuned out and people began to leave. This man was none other than Albert Einstein. So you can have the head knowledge. If you're not able to present that head knowledge, people can't listen. Now, going back to my school years, when I shared with you that I found it very difficult, I realized that teachers were never taught the skill of captivating, how to make their teaching interesting. In my day, they literally my teachers would have been better off in careers like hypnotherapists. I had a history teacher that could knock you out in 5 seconds with that voice. But it was horrific. And so I feel like part of my burn is the passion to save this world from terminal boredom. Because honestly, it's really painful to sit through a long talk. And hopefully I don't do that to you today. Okay, so here's the good news. We had the bad news. The good news is that anyone can become a good speaker and have the ability to get paid to speak if they, and Sharon, one of the girls on this call, and Taryn are 2 people who have just gone through coaching with me, and they'll tell you the improvement is so dramatic. You don't need to go through coaching with Chanti Niven. I'm just telling you that if you start the process and you learn, you can become a good speaker. So you need to know what it takes, because you can't know what you don't know. So the first thing is awareness, which is why a training like this is so valuable. Number 2, you're willing to put in the time, energy, and effort to make it happen. If I tomorrow decided that I was going to be a world champion athlete, and by the way, that's not out of reach. My sister, growing up, my younger sister, when she ran, we used to tease her because her arms used to flap all over. She ran like a girl. And she would always try and chase us. And when we played catch, forget about it. Susie would not catch anybody. She is now in her, I don't even know how old she is. I think she's in her 40s. She's younger than me. And she is a world-class athlete. She's number 3 in her age group in the world. But it's because she decided to do something, took action, and began to diligently apply herself to it every single day. Now, I wouldn't want to get into a game of catch with her, right? She decided to do the work. And yes, it helps if you have the money to invest in yourself and your business. But now let me make this clear. It's not a prerequisite. All it takes is time. Now, I've always said this, there's shortcut, and then there is the long route. The long route is you just daily apply yourself to learning. Go to a Toastmasters club, practice the skills, read books, look at online learning. There's so much free material out there, and you could do it this way. You can shortcut it by hiring a great coach. And you spend a bit of money, but you get a great coach who then shortcuts and helps you and is able to uncover what it is that you can offer and helps walk you through the process. So let's look at the how. If you want to do it on your own and you don't hire Chanti Niven or another coach, you've got to be comfortable. And by the way, I want to mention here, I take on a very few private coaching clients. I much prefer teaching small groups, and we are going to be starting group coaching. And if that's something you're interested in, we'll be talking to you about that at the end. And by the way, nobody in this group is expected to sign up for anything. I'm just giving you a thing of what we do. But here's how you can do it without me, if that's the way you choose. Study, read everything you can about the subject. Watch others speak and observe, right? I know speakers who have developed their speaking skills without anything other than the fact that they have watched a great speaker, observed, and then initially mimicked. Think about, I see somebody over here, Waikiki, playing the guitar. Think about when you learn to play the piano, for example. When you start, I went for piano lessons. I remember they started teaching me scales. Da, 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 da. And I was like, no, teach me something I can sing to. Teach me something I can play. I don't want to do scales. But you have to start the scales. And then you're going to be playing other people's music, even if you don't like that music. And you're going to be mimicking them for a while until you find your own style and you have the competence and develop that. So I always say, mimic somebody else by all means at first, not in public, but somewhere. Join Toastmasters. It's an international group that allows you to practice your public speaking skills, practice and get feedback. Now, people ask me what I think of Toastmasters. I always say Toastmasters is excellent for anybody who wants to overcome fear, wants to practice getting up to speak in front of a group, but it is a learn by doing. All right, you're not going to become a professional paid speaker joining Toastmasters. I'm just going to be honest. You have to find a club that suits you, that you feel that you fit into. I do a lot of training for Toastmasters. We'll be running a training at the Toastmasters Leadership Institute coming up very soon. But when I'm saying it's limited, I don't mean this as a criticism to Toastmasters. I mean it's as good as the people in the club that you join. Sign up for classes, courses, workshops. Udemy, there are so many online classes and workshops that you can sign up for. Personally, I don't enjoy doing an online class or just watching a video. It's not the way that I learn. I actually learn much faster through reading. Unless you're really, really fascinating, I'm going to find it really, really difficult to listen to you. You're going to be so good. And it's just hard for me because I find that a lot of the time, 80% of the stuff is stuff I don't need to know. And so I've learned how to really get to what it is that I want to know. All right. And then you can hire a professional coach who will custom design a program to help you achieve your goals. This is the most expensive option, but it will fast track your career. If you can't afford this, it's okay. You can work up to this. Do you know that in 1 hour, you can earn enough to pay me for 2 months? I'm going to show you how in a minute. Because you're not going to become a star athlete, for example. Think of my sister, Susie. She's only become a star athlete because she had a coach. So you can develop your skills. And then when you get ready, hire a coach. Hire Chanti Niven, hire somebody else. Doesn't matter who it is, but hire a coach. What do pro speakers earn? I'm going to run through this very quickly. Marquee people, top politicians, Bill Clinton commands $1 million per appearance. I believe Hillary Clinton at 800,000. There are a lot of people in this category. Celebrity speakers, Kardashians, 100 to 500K. Gary Vaynerchuk, who is technically in the third category, actually commands 500K. Name recognition. Those would be normally people like the Gary Vaynerchuks and various other people with names, Jack Canfield, etc. They would earn 50 to 75K if they were booked by a booking agent. And I'm going to explain that later. But a lot of them actually will speak at their own events and earn a lot more. One of the guys that I coached actually is a world-renowned memory master. He went to speak for free on a stage. In fact, he didn't speak for free. He actually paid to speak on the stage. This is a new thing, by the way. If you want to speak on a stage with Jack Canfield or a celebrity speaker, you might pay for that. He earned $2 million from one speaking event, people buying his packages. Circuit speakers, this is probably where I would fit right now, 10K to 20K. Those are people, and when I say right now, I haven't actually done a lot of speaking in the last few years. As you all know, I've kind of disappeared. And there is a reason for that. I'm going to be confessing a little secret as to why I disappeared and why even standing in front of you today has taken a momentous level of courage for me. Network speakers. Those are people who go out there and network and get known in associations, clubs, places that people speak, events. They will earn between 2K and 10K. Emerging speakers, that's you guys maybe, and some of you, I know there's a few people on this call here that could be in the network circuit speaking, but a lot of you may be emerging speakers. You could charge a stipend of $500, $1,000, up to 2K. But you can also say, I will speak for no fee. And by the way, if you ever speak anywhere, do not say that you speak for free. Who knows that free is never appreciated? I even shouldn't have used that with this workshop, technically. If I say something's free, whereas people want free, their value, estimation of the value goes down. So you will speak for no fee, but you will always attach a value. Like this workshop is valued at $2,000. I'm giving you a gift of $2,000, right? Because that's what my time would be worth. What I'm giving you today and all the experience that I have is worth probably a lot more than $2,000. And I always tell the story. This is a story that you guys might remember. It's a story about this great ship. The engine room went down. The engineers couldn't figure it out. Nobody could figure out what was wrong to get the ship back into operation. And they eventually called an expert, right? And the expert comes in and he goes through the engine, looks at everything, hums and haws for a bit, then takes out a little hammer and he knocks on something, tap, tap, and the engine starts up again and everything's going. And then he presents his bill for $10,000. And the captain says, that is crazy. All you did was tap twice and you wanted me to pay you $10,000? And he says, well, It's actually only $1 for the tap, but it was $9,999 because I knew where to tap. And if you relate the $9,999 to all the experience that it took him to get to that place, and how much money it was costing for that ship to be in harbor instead of doing what it was supposed to be doing. You see, this is what I want to say to you today. Money really, when you compare it in that way, that you see it that way, you can go out and speak for no fee and make a lot of money. Let me show you how. Okay, so first of all, let me tell you, everyone says, well, you know, people aren't paying you anymore. Well, I'm going to tell you what the market is. This is the last market research that was done. There is such a massive market online, and this is why we're doing a lot more of this virtually. Massive. What I'm sharing with you is just the tip of the iceberg. $100 billion is spent on business events and meetings around the world. Business. There are educational events. There are so many other things. So Jan, for example, you could be speaking at educational events. There's so many different events running all the time. There are 1.8 million meetings and events and conferences in the US alone that are looking for speakers. Global educational information market is estimated at $14 trillion. Is there enough for all of us there? If I say there's enough for everybody, but you must determine your niche. You don't want to be one of everyone. You want to be one of you. Now, National Speakers Association, which a lot of paid speakers belong to, you don't have to. I don't belong to National Speakers Association. I may rejoin National Speakers Association. I found that a lot of, obviously they collect a bit of money. I'm not sure that they provide a lot, but for a starting speaker, it's a great resource. They discovered that the average income from speaking alone, that just means what people have earned from speaking. Forget about all the other residual income and everything else. And that's across the board, from somebody who speaks part-time to somebody who speaks full-time, is $177K. I want to know, well, those of you who are not that ambitious, could you live on that? Okay, but look at what's possible. We're going to get to that in a minute. The other thing is, I just want to mention, this is another opportunity. If you are ready for a TED Talk, if you know what it is that you are meant to do on this earth, and here I'm admitting to you, I really feel passionate about helping you do this. And if you want to know how I see myself, I always have this visual. You'll notice when I ran my training room and training center, there was a theme of trees everywhere, because I've always seen, I got this vision once of a tree, and I see myself as the tree and the branches that spread out from which many birds take flight. So I'm there to help those birds take flight. I really love, more than anything else, watching people succeed. I'm passionate about that. But that's not something for TED, right? I can't get up there and tell, that's not my core message. So people have said, well, your core message is, I see you, right? The going blind and now I see. But I have many other messages. I need to discover for myself what it is that I want to leave as a legacy. But the point is, you might know already, and that's fine. Then you can get onto a TED Talk. And by the way, it's not that difficult. I can show you how. Trained a lot of people for TEDx, trained a lot of people for Shark Tank, trained a lot of people for these kinds of events. So where are what are the type of speaking gigs? Master of Ceremonies. Desiree is the master of Ceremonies. She is going out there. She was trained by me, and she's going out there and earning money and getting paid to be an MC at weddings, at all sorts of events. She was recently, it was a very, very big event in Temecula. It's called the Wine. What was it, Desiree? The Blessing of the Vines?
Blessing of the Vines, yeah.
It was a huge event. She came back, actually, it was kind of funny. She's telling a story about how the priest or whatever it was blessing it with water, and he just took a water bottle and was
a Sparklets bottle with the label still on, and he starts spraying the vines. I've never laughed so hard, because you think you'd move the water into a cup of some kind, make it look a little holy, but no, he didn't.
Well, as long as he blessed it, I guess, it's still holy, right? You've got keynote speakers. This is what I do quite a lot. I get called to keynote speak, and I've spoken at some of the top stages in the world. I've spoken at the City Gala, for example, spoken on stages with some top people, as Desiree mentioned. I also even spoke at an Ivy League convention where all the Ivy League schools came there. I was the main keynote speaker. I've done a lot of the stuff. So this is 30 to 90 minutes on a theme. Very often they're taking your message and I always share via a story, right? Any of you who went to, there's a couple of people here who went to the conference in Hawaii where I was the opening keynote speaker and closing keynote speaker. In the opening, I spoke about my journey through blindness. In the closing, I talked about my brother's death, but I used the analogy of a mountain and climbing a mountain. And by the way, we don't climb one mountain in our lifetimes, but many. We have so many ups and downs, as you know. General session speaker, concurrent speaker, breakout speaker, trainer, workshops and seminars, after dinner speaker, if you've got that comedic touch. I have a client, Mickey, who was supposed to be here today, who was the ultimate, used to be called Marlboro Man, but I guess it's not popular to talk about smoking anymore. But you know what I mean by the Marlboro Man, right? What we call him today, the Jeep Cherokee guy. But he's this action man guy, physical and what have you. And he fell 70 feet from Stony Point and broke every bone in his body. They actually vacuumed out bone dust. He died, was revived. And his joke always is, he said it was his fiance screaming at him. He said, I hate it when women scream at me. But he comes back to life and then he goes through this amazing struggle and he was never going to be able to walk again. But his determination and grit got him there. Well, I was coaching him and coached him for the World Championship of Public Speaking. But this dude just made jokes of everything. He couldn't be serious. So, you know, you can't tell somebody about a struggle like that and not be serious. But that was his way of coping. Well, guess what? He eventually became a stand-up speaker, which was kind of ironic since he was in a wheelchair. But that was his kind of branding that came out. And he talked about how people see disabled people. And, you know, he'd have people patting him on the head, for example, and gave us an insight into what it's like to be in a wheelchair and what it's like to go through those things. So, but he would definitely be able to do that. Facilitator, moderator, panel MC, voiceover work is another thing for speakers. And podcasts, I didn't even mention that, going on to podcasts. You don't have to, again, charge to be on a podcast, but you should be on as many podcasts as you can be because it's, again, getting your name recognition. Career politician. I've trained a senator. I have trained people at all levels of politics. One woman was sent to me, but brilliant politician, couldn't speak. And through her training, she was actually elected and actually gave me a thank you note to say that it was 100% due to the training. Because you could be absolutely brilliant at your job. But if you can't speak, forget about a career in politics. Forget about it. Obama won the election, became president of the United States on the back of his incredible speaking abilities. Social media influencer. And you can use this for so many other things, right? Okay, so, but now those are the sort of obvious ways, and there's a lot more. But I want to share some ways that maybe you haven't thought about to make money, to monetize with your mouth. That's why we say put your mouth where the money is. Promote your business or service. I watched somebody this week. In fact, we did 2 meetings, Desiree and myself, we're doing 2-on-1 meetings with businesses. And we spoke to a man about his business. We spoke to a girl who, I don't know if she's on the call, Liz, but she did a presentation which we watched on e-commerce. If you can present yourself in a way that is going to make people buy, you're going to make more money automatically. Now, again, I'm not a believer in marketing tricks. I feel like we as human beings, any savvy human being can sniff out a marketing trick a mile off. Are you with me? Are you with me? Nod your head if you're with me. Let me give you an example. That's not all. If you sign up in the next 5 minutes, right? We all recognize that. When I first came to America, I didn't recognize that. I bought all sorts of unnecessary crap. I really did. I bought so much stuff before I learned that this was a marketing ploy. And I was buying stuff that was poor quality, overpaying for it because I believed the hype. But eventually you get savvy. Besides that, and I want you to share with me honestly, do you want to be known for tricking people into buying whatever it is that you have? Do you want to be known for it? No, raise a hand. I'm seeing a lot of shaking heads. No. One thing I decided, I'd rather die than be trying to con somebody into buying something they can't afford, making them suffer a hardship almost and giving them no value. The other thing is I'm fed up with signing up for an hour-long infomercial and they give me nothing, but I've got to pay a lot of money to get what they really know. It just annoys me. Okay, books and print. Share your knowledge. By the way, I finally published a book, and Jan knows me for how many years? Since 2000, around about there. And she knows I was very much part of the writing community, part of authors, writers, I created a group called Lasting Impressions. Then I was on a group called Authors Den. I've helped so many people write a book, but did you know something? I never wrote a book myself. I wrote a lot of articles. I had a lot of people going to read my stuff, but why did I not write a book? The truth is, the reason I didn't is I was afraid of being judged. You present yourself as an expert. What if all eyes on your book, right? So I did a lot of ghostwriting. I helped other people write books, but I finally published my own book. It's called What Are You Saying? And it's on Amazon in paperback and e-book if you're interested in buying that. If you want to get an autograph book, let me know, or let Desiree know. But that book, I sold 4,000 copies. And guess what? I didn't do any advertising. I didn't hire a publicist. I have a friend who published a book a little bit before me. She paid $50,000 to a publicist to promote her book. She got onto all sorts of interviews. I sold more books. You want to know how? By speaking. I go and speak at a speaking event for an association. I spoke at one, for example, for the Quality Control Association, 7,000 members. And then when I say to them, I tell them about my book, automatically they want to go and buy it. We sold so many books from events. It was unbelievable. When I had hard copy books to be autographed, I always ran out of books. Audio programs. We have an audio program called the 77 Laws of Public Speaking. You know what? I'm going to give every single one of you a copy of that today. And I'm going to give it to you as a gift. So make a note, because we're going to email you this slideshow, and we're also going to email you the 77 Laws of Public Speaking. It's done with myself and Daniel Mentz, and it is virtually, there's 77 separate laws. Taryn, are you still here?
Yes, I'm here.
You went through the 77 laws. Tell me.
It was like having a one-on-one with Chanti, and it was so amazing because you get to literally learn everything that she covers in her sessions, and you do it at your own pleasure. So it's on your own time, and it was great.
And really, it's 77 laws, and each one is 2 to 3 minutes. So you could do 2 to 3 minutes. I've had people binge watch or binge listen. I've had people who do one a day. Could you afford 3 to 4 minutes a day just to listen to a law? And it's a conversation between myself and Daniel Mentz, who is somebody that I actually personally coached, and who I coached him from a 25-year-old young man who could not speak to become somebody who actually got into the movie business, created a movie, and got, I think, something in the region of 30 festival awards, including a nomination for Best Picture and shortlisted for an Oscar. His first movie, he wrote, produced, directed. And his wife, who, by the way, also was coached by me. And he said, your storytelling workshops helped me create this movie. And now he is a coach for me. But we did that audio program together. So you hear his lovely male voice with my female voice. Okay, you could develop curriculum, online courses, training, workshops. I have a workshop, a training that's sitting on Udemy. We plan to put a lot more online. But Udemy, that program I did, actually one of my trainers did 5 years ago. And that earns me, by the way, if you're not on mute, there's somebody, Taryn, maybe it's you, just put yourself on mute.
I got it.
Okay. But every month I get a check for that. How would you like to do something once and get paid many times? Now, if you guys think you don't have knowledge that you can share on Udemy, on all the multiple platforms that are out there. One of the people on the call today is developing a new educational platform that is augmented and virtual reality, which is going to be amazing because we will learn so much more in an immersive environment. But if you know just a little bit more than the next person, you can develop a course. and you can sell that online. And I'll give you a quick example. I hope it doesn't slow me down here. I signed up and paid for $5,000 to join a class by a man who was one of the top copywriters in the world, who earned himself $10 million in 1 year by developing this kind of content. And what he did is he showed us how he was, I said, it's easy for you because you're teaching people how to make money. And of course, everybody wants to know how to make money. But what if you're teaching on a subject? And he said, well, give me a subject. And somebody threw out facial yoga. I don't know how many of you know about facial yoga, but it's when you pull these funny facial expressions like this. And watch them on YouTube. You could actually probably get a lot of free YouTube stuff. It's supposed to make you look less saggy and anti-aging. And I asked this question last week. Who do you think is the audience for that kind of training course? The demographic. Right, I can't hear you, Taryn.
Middle-aged woman.
I'm going to smack you. Okay, middle-aged woman. And people say that's ridiculous. Men need it too, but men don't care so much. Right? That is, demographic is middle-aged woman. So he said, fine. He doesn't know anything about facial yoga, but he said, if I don't, somebody does. There is a course or a program to be bought somewhere. He gave us resources where you can buy programming and courses on any subject. And he said, let's use this as a case study. He developed a course, and he actually said he sold it before he developed it. He just found out what the features are and the benefits, right? We're going to get into that just now. So what first thing you have to do is establish your client's pain point. What are they struggling with? The fear of aging, right? When you say something in copy, Carl knows a lot about this as a marketer, identify with their pain and then provide a solution. So he provided that first in the copy. Sold the program. And listen, it wasn't his business. It wasn't great shakes. He made $1,500. On the first, he did an ad spend of $500. He made $1,500. And he said, but watch this. He put $500 back in his pocket. So he used the gambling principle and he spent $1,000 on his next ad spend. In 1 month, he made $30,000 on facial yoga, proving to me that as long as you know something that people want to know, and by the way, I'm not going to sell a course on facial yoga. I prefer to sell something that I have been training for 30 years of my life. But you could literally take something you know. And by the way, if you happen to know how to use Excel, do you know how many people are out there who can't use Excel? Maybe Excel for dummies, or even knowing how to navigate the internet. There are a million subjects that you may know, or you're an expert and have a specific niche. Carl, who's on this call, for example, is a coach, a business coach. He is a first-class business coach. He has a niche. But if you don't, there are things that you can do to provide curriculum. In-person training programs, workshops. This is what I'm going to be doing. We're going to be running group coaching, small groups, lots of fun. We used to run something called the Rapid Results Program. We'd sign up 8 to 10 people at a time. A few of you have been on that program. Everyone who's been on that has developed. We've got videos that just show massive, massive, massive change in just a few weeks. I just love running those programs, but we've had to change that now from in-person to being online. Coaching, consulting work. Andy, who's on this call, is doing consulting in the HR field. We had a meeting with him this week, and in a very short period of time, we were really able to hone down what it is that he does that will benefit his clients. It was an exceptional call. Andy, are you on the call?
Yes, he is. He's giving you a thumbs
Yeah,
up. I don't know if
yeah.
you can see him.
Okay. Andy, you don't have to appear on camera, but could you just say, what did you get out of that call?
Well, the call was really quick and really focused. I mean, it was a remarkably quick way of focusing on what we really need
Right. And
in
more
terms of what I need to do to get ahead.
Yeah, what you need to do, but very importantly, what we helped him do was to target his audience. So be saying the things that distinguish him from his competition, which I'm going to tell you, this guy is, we were sitting there, Desiree and myself, thinking we want to hire him tomorrow because he is very, very much a precision person. And he can save people a lot of money in business by showing them how, from the hiring stage to the firing stage, how to be more efficient, right? Train the trainer programs. I know that Carl on this call does train the trainer program. So he is a brilliant coach. Then he's successful in the field. And I know that, Carl, I hope you're not going to mind this, but I know, for example, just from coaching alone, that he's earned big money, $40,000, $50,000 a month from coaching. If I'm doing that well, I am absolutely honor bound to teach others to do the same and make them successful in business. Would you agree with that? There's enough business for everybody. So now I'm going to train somebody to do what I have done and done well, which is what I'm doing with all of you guys today. You know, I'm not just speaking out of my left ear. I did a 120-minute talk and earned a $3 million contract. Right? I can show you because I've been there. And by the way, I came from South Africa to America. And it's like popping from a goldfish bowl into the great ocean and trying to figure out business here. I'm not saying I'm some guru. It was hard work. And I did a lot of failing, a lot of, you know, the tapping on the engine. I had to learn through failure. I messed up so many times. I lost a lot of money. But because of that, I can help you guys to save that time and money, get right to the things that are important. Right, sponsorships, advertising revenue, merch. I'm not sure if Anna's on this call, but she was doing the e-commerce training and runs an e-commerce site on Shopify. We have merch, which we're going to be launching soon. And that is another way of doing things, spreading your message, right? T-shirts, mugs, you name it. If it's cool, people will buy it. Dan, who's on this call, was a big Harley Davidson fanatic, and he bought everything Harley Davidson, the jacket, the this, the that, the other. So don't think, oh, nobody's going to buy my advertising stuff. Yes, they will, if you make it cool enough and your brand is cool enough. Sponsorships, by the way, we know that's big on the internet, and it's all depending on how many eyes are on you. Ticket sales. Desiree will tell you we ran a big event called the Wave event. And what we did is we actually charged a certain amount for tickets, and we filled the auditorium. It was an amazing event, but we were actually raising money for someone who was dying of cancer and who needed help. So you can definitely make money out of ticket sales. You can also build a passive income. Now, I don't have time on this call to share with you how, but the best way to make money, would you all agree? You don't want to be killing yourself day in and day out, and I have done that. When I'm doing one-on-one coaching, I put so much energy into the people that I coach that Taryn's been through coaching recently, and he's really improved a lot. But it's not just the hour I spend with him, it's the preparation I put into him specifically. There's not a one size fits all. Then it's afterwards putting up his objectives, and I put material up into a place where he can get it. And I'm looking at his speech and helping him to hone it and edit it. For every hour that I'm spending 2 to 3 hours extra. But the results are there. So he came in through a program of mine, and I charge him. I think he feels that the value was there. Every client who's been through my training and my coaching has said they have derived that value. I take people from the level that they're at. If you're at a beginner level, I'm going to help you develop the speaking skills. If you have got speaking skills and you've got great stories, I'm going to help you brand yourself and learn how to get out there and get onto various stages. You've got to do that for passive income, because you've got to develop product that you can then use and sell many times, which is what we're doing essentially today. So what could you earn? Remember I said that speakers earn 177,000. If you have a little bit of ambition, let's just take a look at a scenario here, by the way, and this is very, very doable. I said, could you live on 177,000 a year? If you really have the energy and you're willing to put in the effort that a star athlete would, what could you earn? What could you earn? You could earn $1 million a year. Let me prove it. If you get up to the level that I told you that you could get up to, you could be commanding 5K, and that's minimal. You should be charging around about 10K if you get to a level that you are in demand, right? But let's say it's 5K. Even if you speak for no fee, you should be earning at least that in sales, right? That's that. Sell 1,000 books. I sold 4,000 books in my first year. We were selling them, by the way, they're on Amazon. I think they're sitting around about the $10 mark. But when I'm selling them at events, we charge $20 because you've got my signature and my little note and what have you. And and people buy that. So at all the events, I sold $4,000 books, $20,000. Sell 1,000 audio programs like 77 Laws or others. A lot of people want audio programs they can listen to in their car while they're driving, while they're jogging, taking a walk. That's actually one of the ways that I love to learn, is to listen. And I love to read. Reading is a big thing for me. Other sales. These are the platforms. Udemy. There are so many platforms that I could mention here. You know, you could get onto a platform like a Java. You could get onto, there is all sorts of platforms. And in fact, David Lofi, who's on this call, is developing a platform that's very, very exciting that we will talk about at some time down the line. Okay, so other sales. Let's say you take on only 20 coaching clients. And by the way, Carl shared his coaching book with me, and I almost fell out of my chair. I can't coach more than 2 people in a day. That's the truth. I put so much energy and effort into those 2 people. And as I said, 1 hour is 3 hours. I can't do more than that. And also, truthfully, some of you know this, some of you don't. I've really had a struggle in the last few years with some health issues. So the energy isn't there. I take on only 4 clients every 2 months. Sometimes I can be convinced to take on a special case or a day training with somebody for an interview, but I take on very few. So now what we're going to be doing is group coaching sessions. But here we go. Then 1,000 sales of your package training program. People say, well, that's not realistic. So let's say you only earn $500,000 for the year. That's still something you can live on. But you need to package your program and start selling it. And by the way, the training course that I went on with the guy in the facial yoga, his minimum package, and I'm not talking about facial yoga because he sold that for $399 or $397 or something. But his package, teaching people to use the ad spend, and he shows people through advertising on Facebook. He said, for him, he said, forget YouTube, but YouTube could be the same. But targeted advertising on Facebook, he said, you're guaranteed to get a response if you use his system. He said, if you go through his training course, he guarantees you a minimum income of $50,000 or your money back. And I went through his training, so maybe I'm advertising for him right now. I made $50 in 2 weeks, $50,000, selling one program. But now I can also teach that. I can also teach that because I learned the knowledge so that I can teach it to my clients. So that is very, very doable. Creating a packaged program that you can create and help others with. And people will pay. I've said $500. He does it for $5,000. And as I said, he had an income of $10 million. I want to tell you, there's nothing really special about, and I don't mean this to be negative, he's special because what he's done is identified a niche, identified a need, and he is expert at developing that. So what qualifies you, you might ask? Do I need my academic credentials? Do I need to be famous? Do I need a track record? Do I need to be charismatic? Do I need to have be involved in some sort of controversy or controversy? The reason I say that is I say it different to you guys. An inspiring story, thought leader. Do I need to be able to entertain? Do I need to have good looks? So ask yourself this, what do you need? What is it, do you think? I'm going to ask you for some suggestions. Put it into the chat window. I know I'm moving very fast, and last time I asked for a lot of feedback, but this time we are recording and we're going to be using this. So we thank you for your patience. But type into the chat window, if you will, what do you think you need in order that qualifies you to be a paid speaker? And for some reason, Des, I cannot see the chats. So, oh, there we go. Let's see if that will, there we go. What do you think you need to become a paid speaker? What actually qualifies you? So be very careful. Some people are cheating because they were here last week. Okay, these are all good answers because I would agree, confidence. What if I was the world's expert on cryptocurrency and I could make you millions of dollars on cryptocurrency? I just pulled the subject out of my head. But if I had no confidence and I said, well, you know, maybe if you invest, I can help you, maybe perhaps, and I use all of the sort of language that's not certain. My lack of confidence is not going to sell you. So confidence is important. Andy says experience. Yes, we want to know that you've experienced something. Carl, beautiful description. By the way, other people have done this. What do you need? A captivating story, charismatic. I agree, charisma is very important. That's why we have the captivating speakers program. Captivating means to grab, hold attention, and then to be memorable. But Carl says a story that creates value and enables someone to grow and learn. All right, and Taryn gave a hand clap there. Okay. Passion and drive, what Kiki says. I don't know what's happening. Why? Oh, there we go. Technically speaking, while it is nice to have some or all of these things, you really don't need them. What I mean by all these things is what I normally get, but not, obviously I have a very educated audience today. People say you have to have qualifications, credentials, you have to have a track record, you have to have testimonials, you have to have, and they've got a list of things which I call roadblocks that prevent them from getting paid to speak. Well, who's going to hear me speak? Right? You've heard, I'm sure you've had that voice in your head saying that before. Story to tell, Carl said. Now we're going to get into the specifics of the story in a second. And believe you me, we all have a story to tell. I have a few stories to tell. Now, I had someone once say after an event where I was sharing my story of going through and surviving violent crime, losing my eyesight, some of the things that happened. And they said, I couldn't believe it actually. They said, you know, I don't have a great story like you to tell. And I'm thinking, I would rather not have gone through those things. And I understand it's a big story. Recently, I watched the story of a young girl at age 24 who went on a run, a cross-country run in Australia, got caught in a bushfire, and it was a miracle she survived. She was cooked. The doctor said they'd never seen level of burn like this. Destroyed her look. She was beautiful. But also it was going to leave her in a position where she had limited mobility. Her fingers were gone. Her whole life had changed. And that documentary really inspired me because I thought, I have some health issues that have really limited me in some ways, and make me feel very exhausted very quickly. And I'm thinking to myself, you are making excuses for yourself. Here's this girl who's overcome so much more. And all you need to do, and Mickey, my client, Mickey Schechter, who was able to go from being paralyzed to ultimately being able to walk. And he said, if I can't do it today, I'm going to be able to do it a little better tomorrow. So it's just that keep pushing, right? So that encouraged me. But it's not those big stories. And you might say, I don't have a big story. Waikiki over here has, and I'm going to be coaching this man, has got the most amazing stories. You can't even believe what this man has been through in his life. But you might say, I only have a little story to tell. I got to tell you, it doesn't matter what your story is, as long as people can relate. Sometimes the big stories we can't relate to, they might inspire us. We might think that, wow, if she can do that, then what's stopping me? But it's those relatable stories, just the daily struggles you go through. So what's yours and why would people want to hear it? If you're a school teacher in the classroom, maybe you can relate to the fact that these kids just won't listen. And maybe you find a way to increase your student engagement. You can teach that. You can share your story, your struggle, because it comes down to the struggle. You're going to be sent the brand, so I'm not going to read this off the slides. One of the things I teach people is don't read off your slides. Don't read off your slides. Don't use them as cheat sheets. This is really just a lot of people telling you why storytelling is so important. It's intrinsic to our DNA almost. In Africa, where they say that all life began, mighty warriors and people living in the tribal people would tell stories. They'd go out and hunt and they'd come back and everybody would gather around the campfire. And they'd gather around the campfire and the hunters would be sharing their stories of victory. Waikiki will tell you in Hawaii, see, I learned from him pronunciation. I was pronouncing it wrong. But the power of storytelling, it's sort of core to our humanity. If I say, let me tell you a story, you're more likely to listen than if I say, let me give you some facts. Some people, like Andy, love facts, so I'm not going to discount that. Some people just want the facts. And by the way, you've got to know when to tell a story and when to give the facts. If you're sitting in front of your bank manager, that's not the time for a story. That's the time for facts. I remember once a client saying to me, Chanti, could you just give me an answer? Don't give me a story. And it was a big lesson for me, is knowing when to tell a story and when to give your facts, right? I don't know what's happening, but I'm having a moment or two where it's sticking. Here we are. So the first thing I want you to think about is, who are you speaking to? Now, when I first was asked this question, I thought, well, everybody needs to speak, right? Young to old, every single person in every single profession needs to hear and needs to be taught and needs my message. So I would say everybody. But that's like painting a giant target or millions of targets all over the place. Where do you shoot your arrow? You must start with a target. National Speakers Association always say, don't tell me you can speak about everything and to everyone. They don't want generalists, they want specialists. Much more important to specialize, have a specific demographic audience, and then afterwards you can start speaking to bigger and bigger audiences, right? Have a very specific audience. So the audience and your target market are people that can relate to you. And again, sorry to use people on this call here, but just knowing Jan, for example, Jan is, as I say, she's a natural born teacher. She's taught kids, but she's also very involved in growth and self-help and all that kind of stuff. And so she could be teaching other teachers who are teaching kids. She could also be teaching people who've gone through life, or she's gone through so many different things that would want to know what she can teach to improve life. Carl has a million things to teach. Anna has a million things to teach. There's so many things that you guys could teach, but think about your target market as people that are, so for example, Anna is in e-commerce. She is making money out of e-commerce, selling on Shopify, but she could be teaching us how to do that, right? Yeah, Anna, smile at me if I'm, yeah, you could be teaching us how to do it. Make sure you do it right though. So we're going to be helping Anna to really understand how she can teach people that message so that they in turn can make money. Who needs what you offer? Anna, I want you just to think about this for a second. Who needs what you offer? Is everybody going to start an online store? You can shake your head or nod your head. No. I guarantee, even if they can make money on an online store, they're not going to start it because some people are too lazy. Some people don't care. They just don't care. They don't want to start an online store. But people who are interested in making money from home would be interested. So you need to define who is it that needs your offer. And we're going to be very target specific. Who's most likely to listen and pay? Right now, my tagline is, what are you saying? And I love the fact that this came to me in a moment. We were brainstorming our marketing. And I had my whole team there. And I don't know, Daisy, if you remember how many people were there, maybe 15 people. I don't remember. There's a whole team there. And we're all brainstorming what is captivating, what is our brand, what is our tagline. And they were throwing things out, right? Captivating is the brand. It's obviously to grab and hold attention, how to be a captivating speaker. And we were throwing some stuff out. And while I was sitting there quietly listening at a point, because I just felt like we're not hitting it. Suddenly, it actually came to me. It was like another voice came into my ear. And the voice said, what are you saying? And I almost said, shut up. It was like, shh, like a fly, go away. And I heard it again. What are you saying? And I turned to Desiree, who was sitting next to me, and I said, I keep on hearing these words. What are you saying? And she wrote it down like this. What are you saying? And the first letters of each word suddenly popped up to me, the ways in which you communicate. The question is so powerful because think about it. What are you saying is the content? What are you saying? What are you, specifically you, your brand, saying? What are you saying? If you put emphasis on each word separately, you'll see what I mean. It's all part of the brand that I represent. But the thing I love is it's a question. See, questions open our minds to possibilities. That's why we've created an app. We're running a beta version at the moment on, it's called Free Table Topics. You're going to type in HTTPS : I believe you have to type that in / Desiree is going to type it in here. And it is a random question generator. This is a practice that I want you to get into daily. We're developing an online app at the moment. We'll be ready in a while on Android and Apple, which will have, it'll be the same sort of thing, but gamifying it. And we will have questions in every category that you can imagine. Interview questions, which Andy will help me with. And you get access to our beta site for being here today to practice your speaking skills. And I know Taryn's using it. I know other people that I'm training are using it. The way that you use it is you generate a question and do not cheat and push the next question. Use a recording device and answer. But you answer by giving a story and then arrive at the answer. So I will teach you more about that as we go along. I don't want to give you everything today. But what are you saying? So let's look at it. Write down everything you know. That might be a hard task. It might be simple. Maybe you know a lot about one thing. Maybe you know a little about a lot of things. This can be a growing list. What do you know? Do you know how to lose weight? Do you know how to use Excel? Do you know how to create a shop on Shopify? Do you know how to save people money in this area? What do you know? Write down all the stuff that you know, that you've learned, that you've paid for classes, or you've learned through reading books, or you've learned through practice, trial and error, whatever it is that you know. Now you're going to write what you love. I could not talk to you about the subject if I didn't love it. I could not talk to you about the speaking realm and about making money, because I want all of you to be successful. But if I didn't love this subject, and I think you can see my passion, couldn't talk about it. And then here's the $1 million question. What is the audience willing to pay to hear? And this is, by the way, what you have to speak about, right? This little thing here. You could know a lot about stuff. Maybe you know how to brush your teeth. Don't necessarily love it, and the audience is not going to pay to hear how you brush your teeth. Maybe they will, I don't know. But this is the spot. Now, I want you to remember this one thing, that is, their pain defines your purpose. So now that you've established who you're speaking to, you want to ask yourself the question is, what is their pain? What is their pain? Where are they struggling? I can tell you one of my pains right now, and someone could help me with this, is technology. Now, I always joke whenever I've done presentations in person, and those who've been to my in-person workshops will know this, it's like the PowerPoint will go poof, electricity will go off. And I always joke, because I've landed up in a situation where suddenly I don't have slides, or weird things happen, and I should stop saying this. But then I'm kind of helpless because I haven't applied myself to technology. So I've always had to have that Desiree or Daniel or somebody sorting out that stuff. But I've got such a thing about it because I'm terrified of technology. But I joke about it. I say, this is my magnetic personality at play. It makes everything go haywire. But I've also learned to be prepared for those unprepared situations. I could get up and teach you stuff without the slideshow. Right? So we need to be prepared for everything. We once went to speak to a group of, I forget, it was a huge group of teachers in San Diego, massive group of teachers. And I had a slideshow to teach them. I'm standing up in the front, and what do you know? The power goes off. Now I've got no power, I've got no microphone and no slideshow. What do you have to do? You have to project your voice. You have to forget your slides, and you have to talk and fill the space with something. And that is something that you need to learn. Be prepared for the unprepared things that happen. Okay, so now I can hopefully, okay, and see, like for today, I talk about technology. For some reason, my slides are not advancing. Okay, there we go. Now, the other thing that you're going to need is clarity. I've been to training programs that I don't even know what they're teaching until I don't even know at the end what I've learned. I don't know how many of you have been to something where somebody's sharing something that they can do. And at the end, you're kind of thinking, what was that about? What are they actually telling me? I had a client once that was trying to give us a brief. It's actually myself and David Lofi. We were building a platform for him, this billionaire client. And he also wanted to be a senator, which is why he hired me in. But he was trying to explain to David, who is an app developer and who's brilliant with coding and stuff like that. And I'm a communicator. This guy had a way of giving a lot of information in such a way that you'd be looking like one of those people on the screen. That you think afterwards, what did he just say? That's why the what are you saying is so important. But eventually I learned to interpret. And then I taught David Lofi how to speak to him, because he didn't understand David Lofi, because David Lofi spoke in such technical terms. So I began to teach David how to create imagery in the mind. We need to be very concrete in the way that we share information. So let me give you a clue. Everything that you can do, other people are going to want. But let's look at what people want in general, that big balloon. What do people want? And I think it's pretty well summed up in these three words: health, wealth, and happiness. Let me give you an example. Health. I'm talking about what people look up on for Google. You know, when you look up your SEO and your keywords and stuff, they look up symptoms of various things. Everybody's always looking up, and then you become a hypochondriac if you look up on Google, because you'll be convinced you've got everything, right? Cures, how to feel good, weight loss, muscle gain, anti-aging, cosmetic surgery, etc., 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 etc. Wealth. Everybody, I don't care. Some people say, I don't care about money. Rubbish, you're lying. If you don't have a roof over your head and food in your mouth, you'll care about money, because money is a currency that buys you those things that provide security. When we teach on our workshops, we talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and at the very base of that is provision, right? Having food in your mouth, having a roof over your head, not having debts. I'm sure many of you would agree, if you've got debts and you don't know how to pay them, that's very stressful. So money is a big subject. So if you can teach people how to make money, which is what I'm doing today, how to invest money, how to save money, you can teach them about jobs or careers, about lifestyle, anything to do with wealth. And some people want a lot of it, and other people think, you know, it depends on how you see yourself. But you see a lot of people promoting programs, and they're in yachts and driving expensive cars. They're relating to a certain type of audience. The happiness part, relieving stress, vacations, entertainment, help for depression, loneliness, career, intimacy and sex, love and relationships. These are all subjects and topics under those three main headings. So I'm just giving you the broad spectrum of what it is that people want, are looking for, are ready to pay for. Maybe one of yours fits into this, maybe it doesn't. On the wealth side, by the way, we'll be speaking about Andy. How to save money is not just saving money in the bank, it's how to save money and being more efficient, which is something he does so well. Right, there are 6 billion searches a day. And in fact, I could probably update that. I don't know, Lofi could probably tell me better. What are they looking for? You need to know. You either need to hire people who can tell you, but you can also look. This is going to be sent to you. So you've got trends at Google. You've got this site, semrush.com. This will give you what people are looking for currently. Because what I want you to do is, when you are on social media or you are sharing on your platform of choice. So for example, I don't know if many of you know this, but I'm on a site called Quora, which is where experts share answers to questions people ask. And so I answer questions on public speaking. And I have not done a lot of work on Quora for a while, but I still get about 12,000 hits on my answers every week. I encourage you to go to Quora.com and look for Chanti Niven and look at some of my answers. I have over 2 million, I think, hits on Quora. So there's a lot of people being exposed to my content, and who may then go and buy my book or may look for further programs. All right. But what you need to do, and this is a real key, is take a look at what's trending at the moment and connect what you know to what people want. So if, for example, everybody's talking about Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, which they were a few weeks ago. Remember that? So let's say for someone like me, I could be really focusing on the aspects of communication in the courtroom. Do you know that that case was lost on communication? Her attorneys advised her to look at the jurors, and she did, but it was so staged. She did these very obvious spins and looks and stares. There was so much stuff that was wrong there. But if the communication skills, you can win and lose a court case. The way the attorneys communicate, interrogate, and question is going to win or lose a court case. So you can take the topic du jour, something that's trending right now and have a commentary, talk about it. Yes, Cora has room for complete answers, nothing like Twitter at all. I'd like to answer your questions I want to just get through this workshop, and then at the end we can answer some questions. Cora provides complete answers, and correct, Twitter is very short. Also, Twitter's not been my favorite form. It's very quick, pithy, but there's a lot of politicking going on. Cora, I find a place where people are identified as experts that can come to you and ask you questions. So it's very target specific. Okay, now Answer the Public is one of my favorite sites, and I'll tell you why now. Check this out. So let's say you type, and I know there's somebody here as a financial advisor, the word wealth in it, because that's, remember we said health, wealth, and happiness. So look at this. It's going to do this question-based, can, how, why, which, and it'll ask, these are the sort of questions people are looking for right now. Which wealth company is best? Which wealth percentile am I in? Blah, 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 and so forth. Would you find this helpful? Because if you've got the questions, you can provide type it into the chat now. If you've got the questions, what do you have? What should you have? Somebody, anybody. If you know what the questions are, what should you have? Amy.
Answers.
There we go. The answers. That's what your job is, to provide, is answers. That's why everything captivating is to do with questions and answers. It's nothing more frustrating than a question without an answer. But our brains are geared in a way that when we put the question up, the brain will search for answers. Now that we have Google, we don't need a brain. Okay. So now let me give you a little kit that you can go away with from here. And by the way, at any time you can turn your camera off and do a little stretch and a little wiggle and a jiggle, just get some energy back. But I'm really wanting to give you this content, and you can review it afterwards by going through the slides. So, and I know there's a lot. I know there's a lot, but we're going to be using this, as I say, as a recording. What do you need to get started in your speaking business? Even if you're not a professional speaker, what do you need to get started? And for example, to speak about your products and or your service in your case on social media, wherever it is that you're speaking, because every one of you are speakers in one form or another. And a defined brand, and this is what we're going to focus on today very quickly. I can't give you all of this in 2 hours, obviously. Remember, I said the clarity is important. Clear benefits to the audience. And remember that as a speaker, you are the brand. I have somebody that I went to a number of his seminars actually, as someone by the name of Craig Dusfelt, who was the manager for Aerosmith and some other famous band. And his whole brand is the rock star system to success. And he comes out with rock music, but he's wearing his leather jacket and, you know, he's got the whole rock look. Now, can you imagine if he had the rock star system to success and he walked down to classical music wearing a suit? It just wouldn't work, right? So the brand is, the way he dresses, the pumping rock music, everything is in line with his brand. Right, this is where captivating comes in. Content that is entertaining and relevant. We always refer to ER, that's the emergency room. The E part stands for entertaining. You need to learn how to be entertaining. Have a sense of humor, create a bit of drama or suspense, and then relevant. I always use this example to audiences, so if you've heard it before, forgive me. But imagine, and I did this in a big conference. I had this huge conference, 7,000 people in this audience. And actually, I'll never forget that day, because on that day, I relied on my assistant at the time to work out what time I would have to leave to get there. And he gave me completely the wrong time. And I have never been so panicked in my life. I drove like a race driver to get to this place. My hair was all over the place. I was sweating, but I literally walked in. It was just the timing. I literally walked in as I had to speak. And it still went off very well, but I was so flustered. And that's why right now I will never ever go to an event. I will arrive 2-3 hours in advance. Never will I be late. But I'm speaking to this enormous group of people, and they are all in the engineering field. Now, who knows that engineers have very different brains to creative and artistic folk like myself. And they're all quality control people. But I shared the story. And I said, if I was a stamp collector, let's say that was my passion. I'm absolutely passionate. I've collected stamps for years. When I was a kid, I actually did try for a while, but never kept it up. But let's say that was my passion. And I wanted to share it with an audience. I want to share my passion with an audience. I'd say, if I had to share stamp collecting, how many of you are listening? How many of you in the audience are passionate about stamp collecting? And to my surprise, somebody put their hand up. I was like, well, I got a kind of a fright because it's the first time I've ever had anyone interested in stamp collecting. And I want to ask that question to you guys. Anyone here, raise your hand if you are passionate about stamp collecting. I mean, passionate about it, it's your hobby. Okay. So imagine if I had to come in here today and say, I'm going to talk to you for 2 hours about stamp collecting. Right? Tune out. You're going to get your phone out and play a game. But here's how you take your passion and connect it to what they want and they want to hear. So what if I came into a room and said, you want to hear how I made $2 million with a piece of paper this big? Guess what? People are now listening. You've taken your passion, attached it to their desire to make money. Maybe that audience are looking to make money. Now they're listening. They're going, how did you do that? Right? You're also using a little trick that we teach called knowledge gap. Okay, now they're listening because they want to know. It's interesting. It's kind of dramatic as well. We're going to get into that in a second. Yes, your credentials, your qualifications or experience. Sometimes people go up and this is the PhD of, and got all of these credentials, do the talking for you, but it's also what you've experienced in life. If I got up in front of a group and said, I'm in my 50s, which I am, I'm not going to give my exact age away. And I had to say that I can share, and I actually have, I've done a book on skincare. I could be qualified to talk about that because I actually do have a pretty youthful skin. I'm not, this sounds kind of boastful, but I mean, I don't have a lot of wrinkles, right? But if I got up and I had the sort of creases and hanging skin and I had to say, I'm going to teach you today about anti-aging, I'm not going to be very credible in that area. So I've got to really say that what you stand for. There is a doctor that speaks on the internet a lot about anti-aging. And I often think, well, why don't you apply what you learned? Because he looks a lot older than he is. And I keep on thinking, I want to be like the little boy. Do you remember the emperor and his clothes? The little boy saying, but he's wearing no clothes. I kind of think, but wait a minute, you're teaching about anti-aging and you look ancient. You have to, and I'm not saying this to put you guys down. I'm just saying demonstrate or show what it is that tells people why they should listen to you. Okay? If you're going to be teaching about weight loss, then you need to be in shape. If you are going to be teaching about speaking, then you need to demonstrate that skill. So then you have a bit of a track record. Now, people say, well, I haven't got a track record yet. I don't have testimonials and videos. We've got thousands of these over the years. But guess what? I had to start somewhere. So what you can do is speak at your Toastmasters group or speak at a club or tell your friends you want them in your living room so you can speak for half an hour and get them to give you some feedback. That's a testimonial. Start somewhere because people love to listen to other people. We're going to ask you at the end of this for your feedback and we may use that and say if it was valuable to you. Marketing material. Okay, now I've got some good news for you. In the past, as speakers, you need a one sheet. What is a one sheet? Does anybody here know or not know what a one sheet is? Don't know what a one sheet is. And Carl, you know what a one sheet is? He does. Brian, do you know what a one sheet is? Okay, if any of you have ever done a business plan, how many of you know that if you're pitching a business plan to a potential investor, they don't want a 300-page document. They want something called an executive summary. Your one sheet is your personal branded speaking executive summary. And it's literally one sheet. It's got a photograph. It's got a heading. It's got a subheading, which then explains a little bit more about what you do. It's got a little bit of your bio expressed very succinctly. And it's got, again, what you can speak on. So it's literally like a commercial. Now we have templates for that. There are examples online. If you don't want to go through us, obviously there are examples online of what a one sheet looks like, and you can look them up. They're going to just be attractive. It's going to be very clear to your audience what it is that you offer. The press kit. Now, obviously, if you're going to be speaking on shows, you could present yourself, and all sorts of people are looking for experts on so many television stations, podcasts, etc. And that's where your press kit comes in. Again, we could provide you all of this material. We used to run actually a whole school for this called CASA, which is the Captivating Accredited Speakers Program or Association. A website. And today, actually, there are a lot of people doing this without a website, just a landing page, right? What we want to do is help people to efficiently, because people don't read websites anymore. You need the content which you can use from a blog and various other ways to get your SEO up. And perhaps down the line, we'll get an SEO expert, David Lofi is one, to talk about SEO. But a place where people can land and very quickly glean what it is that you offer. You don't want to give a lot of stuff. People have they have the concentration span of a gnat these days. That's why TikTok's so popular, right? And even TikTok, they've gone to 3-minute videos, and I'm a worse culprit. If it's someone's waffling on, I'm just like, next. I want that information quickly, and I'm not alone. What is the speaker's reel? Now, by the way, I got speaking gigs without a speaker's reel because I don't like exposing myself too much. And I shared earlier on about the fact that I have a vulnerable spot, and the vulnerable spot is that through exposing myself, I attracted a stalker. And this man actually stalked me for 4 years, 2 years. It was so intense that I literally couldn't even go outdoors. I moved home and he still found out where I was. He would phone countless times a day. It was an absolute, I can't even tell you what a nightmare it was with this man. And some people might say, so what, you had a fan? No, this wasn't just a fan. This wasn't just a fan. My life was in danger. I once got through the mail. He sent me a t-shirt with blood all over it and a pillow with semen on it. It was terrifying. And the confession and the vulnerability I want to share with you right now, some of those close to me know that I literally withdrew myself from any exposure. Everything came off the internet, every video, everything about me. I didn't want to be out in public again. I wanted to hide. I didn't want I didn't want to be exposed again. And truthfully, before last week and this week as well, I had some real anxiety about doing it again. But my passion, my burn, and my desire to help you is bigger than my fear. Yeah, I'm actually getting tearful. I have had to drum up the courage to face this fear, just even being in front of you today. I love speaking to people one-on-one. It's very hard when I start getting back into speaking in public because of that. The fear that it's going to happen again. It's irrational. I know I can consciously think myself through it, but my whole body experiences. And because I've been a victim of crime living in South Africa, there's a lot of PTSD that I deal with. And this is just me being very real with you. And I'm sure also has something to do with some of the health issues. But I've decided that these things are not going to hold me back anymore. Because what I'm doing is more important than that. And so I appreciate all of you guys being here and even hearing that fear. It's hard for me to express that. We need headshots. By the way, make sure your headshots are realistic. We don't want to see you with hair and then find out that you haven't got hair, or it's 20 years ago and you've changed a little bit. Just be real, guys. We know all women Photoshop and use beautifying apps, and I understand why they do that. Let's not mock anybody, but if you do a headshot and nobody recognizes you when you come out, that's not going to work. And when I say an active shot, you'll see that Desiree, just turn your video off for a second. That's an active shot. Now she's not jumping around doing flip flips. So can you come back, Desi? That's her doing what she does. When you saw her, what does she do? She speaks, right? There's a microphone in her hand. She's standing on a stage. Okay, so whatever it is that you do and that you're known for, that's what you need. When I say active, we've got to see you doing it. Now, Mickey, that we're talking about, Mickey Schechter, the Iron Man guy who fell off Stony Point and became paralyzed and found his way back. His whole brand is don't talk, walk. And his whole thing is about don't talk the talk, walk the walk, right? If you go to his website, you see pictures of him still water skiing. I mean, it's unbelievable. Diving with sharks. He's still doing the action man thing. He's not limiting himself. Thank you, Maureen. Yeah, actually, I've got to be careful when I share something like that. It makes me emotional. It's hard to get back into the mode. Okay, so active shots are brand appropriate. What is your brand? And I just want to mention here when we get into the brand talking, which I'm going to share with you right now, you need to understand your brand. If you don't know and you don't understand, get help. Get help. Have a social media presence. Now, again, I really balked at getting back on social media. I used to have quite a big social media presence, and I began to withdraw. And, you know, at one stage on Twitter, I had about 15,000 followers. As I said, Quora was where I focused. I had a bunch of different Facebook groups where my personal Facebook page, obviously, only have a limit of 5,000. LinkedIn, I have about 12,000. It's not like I'm a media star, but I had a lot of build up on that. And then I just withdrew. 2 or 3 years later, in this business, when you withdraw for any period of time, people forget you. But social media presence today is very important in any industry. You don't like it, it's okay. You can choose a very specific platform that is going to help you. If you are, for example, in Andy's field, LinkedIn might be your best choice. There are platforms that are going to be more valuable to you, and those are the ones that you should focus on. Okay, now, remember, as I said today, we're just going to use one concentrated point, because I think a lot of you, and especially if you've learned marketing, I did a marketing diploma, and I remember the whole time through this, there was 3-year diploma, was that I used to think, wow, this is basically a diploma in lying. This is a qualification in how to con people. And let's be honest, folks, how many of you felt like that? It really is very manipulative in many ways. Everything, you know, even merchandising is manipulative because they're using techniques to get you to buy. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, this doesn't seem right to me. I don't want to ever make people or use some sort of scam thing to get them to buy. I just don't want to be associated with that. And sadly, many of the big speakers have fallen into that trap. But I think very important for us to understand what our brand is and to be on brand so that people know what it is we stand for. So let's get into how I see a brand. Okay, for me, let's go right back to the word, the brand. It came from in the early days where people had cows and livestock. And even though they might have fences, Penelope the cow would break down a fence, and the next thing you know, a herd of cow would land up on somebody else's land, and then there would be disputes of ownership. So they began to brand with fire and hot iron. Try to imagine for a moment how painful that must be. But it left a permanent mark. I don't know how many of you have got tattoos. Those are not permanent, but a brand is permanent. Right? It's permanent. And it hurts. Because it comes from fire. It makes a mark. Check the cow out. I love that cow. I thought I'd give you some brevity here because I wanted to explain something to you in a way that I see a brand. A brand is your burn. The word burn means some pain or struggle that you've been through. And I want you to ask yourself this question straight after this training is, where have you burned? Where have you struggled? Because that's very important. It's key and critical. But also, where do you burn with passion? Like, what really gets up your nostrils? I find that when I'm on social media and people are attacking each other and calling themselves, I noticed on Twitter, somebody said, you know, I won't even use the language but they use terrible language and swear and curse at one another or bring people down. That makes me burn. You know why? Because it's so unnecessary. Good communication doesn't require denigration. It doesn't require that we make another person a fool. Okay, we need to build with our words, not break down. So that makes me burn. That's a passion of mine. Okay, so this is my saying. A brand, the real brand, that comes from hot iron is the scar left by a hot iron. Your scars are your evidence of your experience. Your brand, however, is the mark you leave upon others. It's the impression that you leave upon others. Just think about that for a second. It's your burn. But the brand is, it's always about the others, right? Who your audience is, who your key demographic is, the impression you leave. And I'm actually going to ask you today as an experiment, what you see, if you see Chanti Niven, what is the impression I leave upon you? What is it exactly? I'll share what I think. And I'm going to give you some examples of speakers that you can instantly identify. Their brand is very clear. See on the right here, I love this dude, Nick Vujicic. His brand started off with no legs, no arms, no worries. Born without arms and legs, and yet this man is the most positive guy, nothing holds him back. Very encouraging motivational speaker, right? We know what Tony Robbins stands for. Let's just mention some names here. Dave Ramsey. Can everybody type in chat who they think Dave Ramsey, I mean, just tell me, what is Dave Ramsey? Just say one word. What do you think Dave Ramsey is connected to? Somebody type in Dave Ramsey. What is his brand? Finances, yes. Money. Amy says, Financial Peace University. Yes, Dale. All right. Basically, it comes down to, and really it's wisdom with money, isn't it? That's his whole brand is around money. Tony Robbins. I'm going to be having to speed up a little bit now. Brene Brown, vulnerability. Sir Ken Robinson, who died. We actually have a personal endorsement from Ken Robinson on video on YouTube. He is the #1 hit upon TED Talk in history, 74 million hits, educator that talked about bringing creativity back to schools. We were running a school program that we ran in hundreds of schools to thousands of students. We made a huge impact. And so we got that endorsement. Mel Robbins. I had to include a female here and there because most people, when they think of speakers, think of men. But Mel Robbins did one TED Talk. She wasn't known before that. She is very well known now for her no-nonsense approach, right? The 5-second rule, how to stop screwing yourself over. Les Brown, Nick Vujicic, as I mentioned, Jack Canfield, as we know, Chicken Soup for the Soul. So I'm rushing through because I've realized that I've obviously spent a lot of time giving extra stuff. Now, important, once you know your brand, and we're going to do a little exercise at the end here, which is why I want to hurry through right now. I don't want to steal from you. Is how do you make your brand stick? So, and that's not a question I might be able to answer today. And maybe I'll offer further training. Is once you understand your brand, you need to know how you're going to make it stick in the minds of others. How do you make an impression in the eyes of others? And it comes down to 3 factors. And if you're not doing this, you should be. So if you're going to post up a TikTok, you need to be consistent. I'm not consistent on TikTok. If you went onto TikTok, you think my brand is about dogs because there's a lot of dogs on it. I've just started doing messages about public speaking, but in the past, it was always my dogs. Okay, frequency. There are people who are not necessarily the best, but they're just on it all the time. And I used this as an example last week. And Desiree pointed out, she said, Chanti, it's not like you to criticize. And I didn't mean to be critical. I meant to say she was actually a client of mine, went to my workshops, got my content, but she doesn't have, well, I was going to say it. She doesn't have a great quality voice. She doesn't have everything she needs. However, she went out and practiced, became consistent with her Instagram posts. You saw her frequently moving forward, frequently posting, right? And she did the last thing as well, anchoring, using my content, by the way. And she's filling up workshops and she's making money out of this. And that's fine. Think about Pavlov's dog, right? Dog's hungry, gets food. Every time he gets food, there's a bell ringing. Every time he hears a bell ringing, he becomes emotional and he starts salivating because he's thinking about food. That's what you need to be doing when it comes to your brand. And that's why these 3 things are very important. This is a whole workshop on its own. And I'm just going to give this to you here so that you can think about it. You can research it. go to Marketing Experts, or we'll run another workshop, or obviously if you come through our programs, you will learn some stuff about this. Today, we're going to focus on one thing because it's an area that I think most people fail in. Screw it, let's do it. Let's do it. People think is Nike, but screw it, let's do it is actually Richard Branson is a book that he wrote. Screw it, let's do it. I highly recommend it. This is a man who had to do the fake it till he made it. Started Virgin, and this is huge in England and in South Africa, where I come from. Not as big in America, but he's, I mean, huge. He's like Elon Musk. He's just huge, huge. And he started his business in a very interesting way. Read the book, it's great. Now, I want you to think about this, and we're all going to practice this, or we're going to try and practice some of this in the 12 minutes that we have left. Think about one area of expertise, by the way. Don't think about all your areas of expertise. I know there's people like Waikiki, who is an expert in all sorts of areas. Brian also. All of you have multiple skills, but take one skill that we're going to use for this exercise. And what you're going to do is you're going to say, for the purpose of this exercise, is you're going to answer this question. I help you. So see a question mark there. I help you so that you, or so that, okay? So for example, I help you become a captivating speaker so that people will pay to hear you speak. Right now, I want you to think about a line here, and as you get it, start typing them in, and we can start brainstorming some of this, because you need to be very specific about this and understand it. Because as I say to people, if I'm helping you compose a speech, the first thing you're going to do is write somewhere on the wall where you can see it, your specific purpose. And that means the one thing you want them to take home with them. Because I don't care how long the talk is, there's one core message. There's only one core message. You can have a lot of points and a lot of gems, but there will be only one core message. By the way, I'm going to recommend that if you get up, that you turn your camera off. We just got to see your butt, Waikiki. So the reason I say that too, here's another embarrassing story. I was once speaking to a group of accountants, and I went onto a Zoom call. I did not know anybody was in the actual Zoom call because it was their Zoom call. And I was actually doing my last minute makeup application. And then I did the most embarrassing thing. I did a little adjustment of my bra on camera, not realizing I had a whole audience who were not showing up. And we're all witnessing this. So just be very careful of what your camera is showing. Okay. If you want to scratch your nose or get up. And if, okay, so here we go. Amy has got, I help you improve pharmacy operations so that you have joy-filled days. Dale Young, I help you turn your chaos into clarity so that you can pursue your calling. I like that one. I think actually, Dale, that you were here last week, and thank you for coming back. Taryn, I help you understand addiction from a non-disease model so that you can see how compassion, motivation, and changing thoughts are keys to long-term sobriety without relying on external support groups. Okay, that's very specific, and that was better than last week, so good job. Okay, if I miss anyone, excuse me here. Okay, I want to suggest, Amy, are you willing to go unmute yourself?
Sure.
Okay, Amy, I help you improve pharmacy operations so that you have joy-filled days. It is a little vague for me. Now, by the way, this is where Desiree and I very often get somebody in front of us and we help them really hone down to have clarity here. So who's your target market here?
Pharmacist.
So they're a pharmacist. And when you say,
Yeah,
I help you improve pharmacy operations.
Pharmacy, workflow, prescription filling processes, kind of everything that the pharmacist does behind the counter.
So everything the pharmacist does behind the counter. Now, obviously, because I'm not a pharmacist, I don't fully understand what it is that you can do. And I mean, if I was your audience, maybe that would resonate with me. I like the fact that you said joyful days. Maybe it would be stress-free. because maybe they can relate to the fact that it's stressful being behind the counter. But anybody else in this group, I'm going to ask Brian, would you like to comment on, let's just say that you're a pharmacist now. Just because I don't want to be critical here, Amy, I really do know this is critique that I want to help you, because you have such a vast knowledge, and being able to express that in a succinct way that tells me exactly what it is that you do, because that doesn't tell me what you do really. So Brian, I want you to tell me, if you were a pharmacist right now and you're reading this, is this going to make you, Amy, do you consult? Is that what you're doing, or coaching? What are you doing?
No, I manage pharmacies for a company.
Okay.
So I manage a group of pharmacies. So I wanted to, look at doing, helping more than just the people that I work with.
Okay, so again, if you had to provide training courses, you would help to improve pharmacy operations, to increase efficiency, because I want you to, all of you, think about this one thing. A business is there ultimately to profit, and profit comes about through saving money or making money. So it's those two things. And if you focus that there, as I will save you money by increasing the efficiency of your pharmacy operations so that you can have more relaxed and stress-free days. Right. So at the moment, Brian, your comment on, give me some comment. You're a pharmacist now, and Amy.
Yeah, it's much better when you've tightened it up there about what you're doing and making them more efficient, more money. So by tightening it up and less general, it's much better.
Okay. All right. Dale, I'm going to pick on you again. I help you turn your chaos into clarity so that you can pursue your calling. Who is you?
Really, for me, the leaders of small businesses are my target market.
Okay.
So small business entrepreneurs, maybe up to a team of 20 or something like that. They are the people that are caught in the day-to-day whirlwind of just everything going on. They often are just being hit by all sides. So getting out of the chaos into what they need to focus on, how they need to improve, and then actually going after why they started the business in the first place.
Okay, now let's try and reframe that, because that was good, much better than last week. Let's try and reframe that in terms of their pain points. So let's think about small business operators, and I'm thinking about myself when I started this business. We know that we're going to hit a target if we focus upon that target. So there are so many things to learn in a business, right? It's confusing. So the first image I see, because we want to try and pin our message to an image that we create in our consumer or demographics mind. So again, when I was dealing with Andy this week, he has a very similar thing, in that he is increasing the efficiency, and one of his hobbies is Andy, help me out here. Archery. And I said, that's a perfect image, archery, hitting your target, right? First time. How much money would you save if you target and you hone in on your target and increase your efficiency? Because when you start a business, it's like sending out 1,000,000 arrows out there and hoping you hit a target. If you can find a very specific imagery and it goes to their pain point, right? I know, because I started a business, so I know that your kind of thinking in your brain, helping people, one image that's coming into my mind is a maze. Helping people to navigate the maze, M-A-Z-E, the maze. Do you guys know what a maze is?
Yes.
Right. So going into business is like getting into a maze. You've got a left, a right, a forward. Which way do we go? So, and again, you could use any particular thing, but try and make it visual. It could be the roadmap, the blueprint. This is what you'll notice a lot of coaches say, I provide you a blueprint. I do feel like that's a little overused. So try and find something else that provides people a visual of what it is that you actually do.
The one that came to my mind was a tornado.
Okay, and help me with that.
Well, there's just so much going on. Everything's spinning around. Everything's getting out of place. You think something's in place, it's taken out of place immediately. That kind of
Imagery. So that's
it's not controllable.
right. So maybe your brand's got to do with taming your tornado. Tame the tornado. That's how you start honing into your message. But please, guys, if at all possible, it's very easy to go into your logical brain and to find a logical answer to something, but try to make it very visual so it plays out like a movie in your demographic or your ideal client or prospect's brain. Okay. Carl said, I help you move your business from chaos to an operating system that creates freedom so that you can focus on making a difference in the lives of those most important to you. Okay, we can tell the difference with somebody who is actually a marketer, but he's an entrepreneur, really, and he is a business coach, very, very good at what he does. Jan said, I help you tame the stress in your life so that you can live the life you really want. Now, again, Jan, I'm going to ask you to try and create a visual for that. We have literally got 2 minutes left. Anybody who has to leave at 12 on the nose, I am quite happy if you just sign on out. I know Desiree is going to give me a little kick, because what I really would like to get out of this 2-hour training that I've given you today is if you could stay behind or set an appointment for us to give us a video testimonial, give us some feedback, just give us something, right? That's the gift I'm asking you for. But if you want to stay behind and ask me questions, you can also do that. Des, will you let me know and intervene when you need to really do the video stuff, and we can always come back. But I want to ask you to create a visual. Now, when I think of stress, I think of a cat with its hair up. And I know, forgive me for saying this, I know your love of cats. So I see in the first image, a cat going, and the second cat, there's no more relaxed creature than a cat when it's sleeping, right? I help you go from this to this. You don't even have to say anything else. It's the visual of that. And maybe you tie your message or branding into that. I help you go from spitting to purring, or, just start playing with a visual. So I want all of you to practice this, taking the next step. It's something I didn't talk about last week. I just started with this to help you gain clarity. I help you. My target market is you. I help you, my audience. Whenever I go to speak at any event, I will always find out who you is. It's engineers. I need to be speaking to engineers. I need to speak to them in a language they can understand and get. So that I help you do this, and that's spelling out the benefits, what it is that they'll be able to do now that you've spoken to them, right? Or when you speak to them. All right. Now, I mentioned my brand. My brand, I for a long time didn't know really what it was. I knew that I could teach how to be a captivating speaker, because when I went out to speak, that one word would keep on coming up. Somebody would say, you're captivating, and that would just be repeated over and over again. But I didn't know if that was my brand. And then I figured it out. One of my clients, Douglas Green, who's also an author, I said to him, Douglas, what is my brand? What do you think? And by the way, all of you guys should be asking other people that question, because they will give you the outside view. And he said, I don't know. And then he came up with this line. I was kind of miffed when he said it. He said, I was blind, but now I see. Amazing Grace, you recognize that. And I thought, what? I was blind, but now I see. And then I started meditating on that, and I started thinking, I was blind. Blind is the same as being ignorant. Now I see. Aha, light bulb moment. Then I began to realize that through my blindness, I learned more about communication than I ever had before. I really learned to listen. But the other thing that came to me was the fact that in South Africa, there is a greeting, Sawubona, which means I see you. It's acknowledging the presence of another human being. It's giving them your full attention. I see you. Having regained my eyesight, I understand the value of being able to see all of you, to see your faces, to see your smiles, to see your eyes. For 3 years, I couldn't see that. I do see you. The power is in the response. The response to Sawubona is Ngiyakhona, which means because you see me, I am. Because you see me, I exist. It's acknowledging the humanity, the presence of another person. And I think in my speaking, that's what I want to project. The words also, I want you to look in the chat box, right? I'm going to type this, is I can say, I see you in shorthand like that if I was going to do it in text speak, which stands for, same as the emergency room I mentioned in the beginning. ICU is intensive care unit. And listen, anybody who knows me knows there's a lot of intensive care that goes on. When I was a kid, I was rescuing insects out of the pool or saving orphan animals. And throughout my life, I've gone out to rescue people and save people and help people. And my first husband used to always say, you and your orphans. So intensive care unit, I love to love. I love to care about people. Sometimes I get stretched so thin in that department, it becomes difficult. You can't care and love everybody. Trust me, I try. But that comes to the core of my brand. If I can see you, I can help you. Do you get that? If I can see you, I can help you because I can see your gifts. I can see your abilities, and I can help you extract those so that the world can be blessed with your gift. That's my brand. Okay. I want you to take this exercise and continue working with it. Answer the question. I help you be very specific and targeted so that, and remember who your audience is, and then pin it to something visual. People don't remember words. People remember visions. And I use the example of when I've been to thousands of networking events in all the time of all the elevator speeches. We've all been taught the formula. It just goes, blah, and I don't remember it ever again. The only one I've ever remembered in all the years was a young pharmacist. Strange enough, we have a pharmacist here. A young girl with a clean face who got up and said, hi, I'm your neighborhood drug dealer. How's that for a visual? The reason it was so powerful is because she couldn't have had a more innocent and cherubic and angelic face. And you can't imagine the conflict between what she was saying, that she's a drug addict, and what we were actually seeing. So that, I'm going to just close this down quickly. And so I can talk to you guys if you need to leave. As I said, I appreciate the time that you've given me today. And I appreciate that you've been here. Some of you have got to get off and prepare for Father's Day. I get it. If you have to leave, oh, thank you, Waikiki. Said I enjoyed the session. If you would like to really give me a gift today, just spend a minute on camera with Daisy afterwards to share some feedback and what value you got from this. That would really bless me. The last thing that I want to leave you with, the impression that I want to leave you with, is that I do care. I do care. I hope you can see that. I honestly would do this every day for the rest of my life without being paid a penny. And when you know what it is that you'd be willing to do without being paid, you know what it is that you can do and be paid. Because here's something I learned in all the years that I've done this work. When I helped people out who didn't have money, and I'd say to them, okay, I'm just going to help you out, and I coached them. Do you know what was really funny is those people benefited the least. There's somebody on this call, I won't call her out, who couldn't afford my coaching, but she made a plan. She said, I want you to be my personal coach. And my coaching package, the base package that I work with somebody from, and honestly, there's always a dramatic improvement from beginning to end. It's $5,000. It's a lot of money for some people. And she borrowed the money. I didn't know if that sat very well with me, but I thought to myself, you know what? If she can take what I teach and she can't earn $5,000, I have not done my job. I've not done my job. The value I offer is giving you the ability and the plan and the strategy to make many multiples. You should be earning that in 1 hour. 1 hour. Right. Now, having said that, I don't want all of you to sign up for private coaching because I can't take on that many clients. So if you are interested in joining a coaching program, either private or a group coaching program, we're going to offer 3 offerings. The first one's private one-on-one coaching with me, and I interview people for that because I've got to know that I've got to be able to give you more than $5,000 worth of value. I like to make it $50,000 worth of value. I only take on a limited number of people. Actually, on this call, I don't know if she came in and fell out again because she's having connection problems, is Florence LaRue, one of my clients. She is with Fifth Dimension, Age of Aquarius for the older people. She is the singer, the lead singer for Fifth Dimension. Very famous lady, and she's just launched her book. And her book is called Grace in Your Second Act, and she's coming back to coaching with me for her interviews that she's doing, right? And her managing team, who also manage other big names, insisted that she gets this training. So she's already a great speaker. She really is. So there's coaching one-on-one. And then we're going to be launching our group coaching. No more than 8 people, and preferably less in a group. You will get the same content you get private coaching, but it's obviously not tailored to you. It's going to be specific. It's going to be that everybody's going to benefit from that, right? Now we are working on providing training for beginners, training for intermediate, training for more advanced people. And then there's going to be specific classes that we'll offer. Every one of you, for sitting through 2 hours of me, will get some gifts. You're going to get an ebook. You're going to get my 77 rules or 77 laws of public speaking audio program. So we'll make sure you get that. And you'll get this whole slideshow that you can refer back to. Now, here's the $1 million question. Those of you who are, some of you don't want to appear on camera or even answer, and that's fine. But those of you who are here, do you feel, and this is where I make myself vulnerable, because you could just say, no, that was crap. But do you feel, just show me by raising your hand, do you feel that you got something today, out of today? Just raise your hand for me. And I got the Hawaii, I've learned there's a right way to do that, by the way, by Kiki. Sharon, yay! Sharon has been through private coaching with me as well. Okay, well, raise your hand in the app. There's a way to raise your hand in the app. If you'd like to stay and give me a little gift, I'm going to hand over to Desiree, and you're going to give just a little video testimonial. Are we able to do it on this app, Des?
Yes, what I'd like to do is just keep you guys right on this call, and anyone that wants to share what takeaways they got from today or leave Chanti a little rave review, we will also accept them in written form by email, but I would definitely love either a voice. You don't have to get on camera, but if you do, that's encouraged. But we'd love to hear your feedback for today. So I'm going to open the floor up. If you guys have anything, raise your hand and I'll just unmute you.
Waikiki actually warned me that he actually wasn't going to make it because he has a rodeo to go to.
Okay.
So I just want to say thank you, but I will grab hold of you and to get a testimonial feedback from you. Really appreciate you being here today. Thank you so much. He was at the Hawaii conference that I was at. Thank you so much for being here today.
Teron, are you going to break the ice with our review?
Yeah, sure. I'll break the ice too.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, I attended the session last week too, and there was a tool that you shared, the Answer the Public. And I quickly went to it and I typed in like addiction on there and got to see all these things that I really hadn't thought about, you know, what I'm sharing with the audience. So the tools that you shared were so helpful in honing down my message. So I really thank you so much for that. And I was very excited to come this week to share my refined message with all of you. So thank you so much, Chanti. And I love working with you. And, you know, I would not be where I am today if I didn't meet you. So thank you for giving me that.
No
confidence.
idea. I mean, you know, the fact that you went through 2 hours and come back for another 2 hours has really got to say something about your dedication.
I mean, it's great content. Otherwise, I wouldn't be back. So I know the quality I'm getting. So.
All right, Amy, would you like to say anything? I kind of feel like you just have to say something.
You know, today it was great. I learned a lot to reflect on, to be able to pinpoint, you know, what I want to do. Chanti, I appreciate your passion, and such a genuine passion that really comes through about how much you care for us and how much you want to see us succeed. And just thank you for being vulnerable today and for sharing your time with us.
Thank you, Amy. I appreciate it. I got a bunch of messages from people saying they're going to send written stuff in, which is fantastic. So just last one, anyone else that wanted to say anything?
Anna Come on, be bold, girl.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I really did get a lot of good information on how I can monetize my knowledge of being able to build e-commerce stores, and I can turn that into written information that I can then monetize and sell online. So yeah.
David Murphy popped up quickly, so I think he might
Thank
want to
you,
say
Anna.
something.
Yes, David, please. Thank you.
I did pop up for a minute. I've known Chanti for a long time. One of the best speaker trainers that I know that I've, since when I started with her, I was the worst speaker. You should see my first video. It was terrible.
Blackmail material.
I was the worst. And yeah, I mean, one of the best speaker trainers I know. I've done, what's the, I can't think of the name of them. Who are the Toastmasters? I've done Toastmasters. And even, I did training with Chanti before I did Toastmasters. My first one, I won like 2 of their daily awards, like minutes
Table Topics
and
Award.
the other award. They're like,
He
who's this?
walked in first
I
time.
walked in and won the first day on their awards. But yeah, one of the best speakers I know. I mean,
Thank you. Did you get any value out of today, Murphy?
I did. I mean, for me, a lot of it is stuff that, I've heard, and but today's value, yeah, I mean, it's definitely added to some of my knowledge and a lot of the areas of speaking and how it can transport your life into, how you can turn it into making money out of it, becoming a speaker.
Well, think about your skills, and that's what I want you to think about, because David has got about 40 different certifications. So the problem with somebody who knows a lot is honing that down, because you can know a lot and share a lot, but people then don't understand what you stand for. And so really being very, very clear on what it is that you're doing. I think that's what we must all try and get from this today. Anyway, Desi, I'll hand back over to you.
Yes, I want to say thank you all so much for being with us today. We're not going to hold you on to you any longer, but I will be sending out notes. We did get a bunch of questions coming through today that we're actually going to respond to in the email. Great questions. If you guys have any more, feel free to email or give us a call. We're happy to have conversations with you guys about it. And we want to thank you so much for your time today. Thank you, Chanti, for your amazing workshop and all this incredible content. This is stuff you guys can implement right away, and we really hope you do.
And sawubona. And aloha to my Hawaiian people. Thank you so much. Love you guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, bye-bye.